What if I told you that you've never truly experienced poverty? Not even once. What if every moment you spent stressing over bills, every late night worry about running out of money, every empty account was nothing more than a veil hiding a deeper spiritual reality that could completely shift your relationship with wealth before this year ends? Have you ever noticed how hard you've worked? Budgeting, hustling, listening to every money expert, and still, abundance seems to stay one step ahead of you. Maybe you've wondered why others seem to magnetize wealth while you fight for every dollar. The reason might surprise you, because it's not tied to your education, your effort, or even your background. Before we go any further, tap the like button and share where you're tuning in from. I love seeing how far this message travels. Here's the truth few people ever uncover. Money was never absent from your life. Not for a single heartbeat. Right now, while you're reading this, you're surrounded by invisible riches like shimmering dust, waiting for your command to take form. But the command doesn't come from another job or clever investment. It comes from something already within you, something you use daily without grasping its creative force. You're not broke. You're unspoken. You're not drowning in debt. You're quiet in declaration. You're not trapped. You're silent in spirit. The vault of divine supply has always been open, you just haven't turned the key. That key is your own voice, your God-given ability to speak creation into being. Picture yourself standing in a field of fertile ground, filled with unseen potential, yet you're mourning a famine. You're crying for rain while holding the power to summon it. The downpour doesn't fall from clouds. It flows from your tongue. Every sentence that leaves your mouth either waters the seeds of prosperity or scorches them dry. What I'm about to reveal challenges everything the world teaches about wealth. The great achievers through history understood something simple, but hidden before money appeared in their accounts. It appeared in their language. They spoke fortune into existence, aligning their words with universal law. Stay with me to the end, because I'll share the exact words that have turned ordinary people into extraordinary successes. Not through luck or manipulation, but by working in harmony with spiritual principle. These are not empty affirmations. They are divine decrees that reshape reality to match your command. The question isn't whether you're worthy of abundance. It's whether your words have agreed with it. What have you been saying about money? And are you ready to speak like the prosperous being you already are? If this resonates, subscribe now. This is where I share deep revelations on the spiritual laws of wealth. Now let's go deeper. There is treasure stored in unseen places marked with your name in divine light. This isn't poetic, it's literal. Specific opportunities and resources already belong to you, they await your call. The only barrier between you and them isn't your resume or your network. It's the decree you haven't spoken. While you've been planning and striving, your fortune has been patiently waiting in the invisible realm for your voice to release it. Imagine having a vault filled with gold that opens only when you speak the correct phrase. And that phrase is already written into your spiritual code. The reason most people never find this secret is because they treat words as noise rather than substance. But words aren't mere sound. They're building material. Every statement you speak becomes legislation in the unseen, commanding form and function. When you grasp this, everything about your life shifts. You stop pleading for favor and start ruling with authority. You stop begging life to be kinder and start decreeing how it must respond. I've seen people shift their entire financial state within weeks simply by transforming their speech. Not through effort or force, but through spiritual alignment. There's a phrase that opens the flow for many. There is gold dust in the air for me. Large sums of money come to me now, by grace, in perfect ways. You may think that sounds childish or unrealistic, but simplicity is often where divine law hides its greatest power. Behind every financial miracle stands someone who refused to let their vocabulary be dictated by circumstance. They painted a new future with their words until that picture became their life. When you speak from authority, the unseen responds differently. In those quiet moments when fear whispers that you'll never have enough, you have a choice. To echo that voice or silence it. Most people unconsciously agree with fear, saying things like, "I'm always broke," or "I can't manage money." Every time you repeat those lies, you sign a spiritual contract with lack. But that contract can be broken. The moment you stop echoing fear and begin to declare provision, the equation flips. Lack multiplies not through shortage, but through consent. Each time you give your words to limitation, you authorize it to stay. But when you reverse the agreement, when you decree abundance instead, you release the flow of prosperity that's been waiting all along. When you stop chasing and start commanding, opportunities begin pursuing you. Write in the comments, "I command, I don't chase." That simple shift changes your energy and how reality responds. Every financial struggle begins not in your wallet, but in your words. Your speech shapes your posture toward life. If your inner dialogue is filled with worry and panic, your outer world mirrors it. Divine supply doesn't respond to fear. It answers faith. It doesn't pour through pressure. It moves through position. Your true position is not as a beggar hoping for mercy, but as a ruler speaking law. When you carry yourself with that awareness, everything adjusts. Your confidence, your decisions, your tone. Those who know their supply is spiritual walk differently. They're calm, steady, and confident because their source is infinite. Each morning, instead of dreading bills or watching balances, declare, "God is my instant and unlimited source. All channels are open now." It may sound unrealistic, but only to the mind that's still hypnotized by appearances. Every breakthrough begins when someone dares to identify as abundant before the evidence appears. Your reality changes the moment you decide to see yourself as a commander, not a chasser. Let me illustrate this with a true story. A woman once came forward holding just 7 cents, the sum total of her finances. She was instructed not to curse her situation, but to bless it, to call those coins seeds instead of scraps. She spoke over them. "Every dollar I spend returns multiplied under grace." Within days, opportunities started unfolding. Payments she didn't expect appeared, and new paths opened. What changed wasn't the coins. It was her consciousness. She stopped worshiping money and started commanding it. Money is not your master. It's your messenger. It responds not to fear or desperation, but to steady authority. It doesn't move by reasoning, but by rhythm. The rhythm of consistent, faith-filled declaration. When you decree with calm certainty, it cannot resist. Ask yourself, where have you been running after what you should have been summoning with your voice? How much strength have you wasted chasing instead of commanding? Every truly wealthy person, knowingly or not, operates by this law. They treat money as their servant, not their source. Write in the comments, "Money is my messenger." Now for the greatest revelation, you already are what you're trying to become. The millionaire you dream of isn't in your future. It's your current identity and spirit, waiting for expression. Wealth isn't built. It's revealed. It's not earned from nothing. It's drawn out of your inner supply. You carry a spiritual blueprint, your personal scroll of abundance. It doesn't open through striving, it unfolds through speech. The mouth, not the eyes, reads it. Your fortune is released through the authority of your declaration. Instead of seeking proof in your bank balance, look to your words. They're the code that unlocks your inheritance. Those who grasp this stop interpreting their world through sight and start defining it through speech. They realize their tongue has more creative force than their talent. Their declarations carry more weight than their degrees. Their words carve reality. The consciousness of a millionaire isn't learned, it's remembered. Each "I am" statement writes spiritual architecture in unseen dimensions. When you say, "I am rich," while your account is empty, you're not being delusional. You're constructing the bridge to your manifestation. Every word becomes a seed, every seed a structure, every structure a harvest. This is how creation works. The scripture says, "Let the weak say, I am strong." Not to pretend, but to claim. The same law applies here. Let the poor say, "I am rich." You're not denying your current facts, you're declaring your eternal truth. Each time you speak abundance despite appearances, you adjust your internal frequency. Your subconscious starts to believe. Energy shifts. Vision clears. Opportunities begin aligning themselves to you. You're not waiting for wealth to arrive. You're unveiling it. You're not chasing outcomes. You're activating inheritance. So when you say, "I am prosperous," while bills surround you, you're not lying. You're speaking prophecy. Let me unveil the single most destructive sentence that's been silently blocking your prosperity while you thought you were doing everything right. I'll also show you how to replace it with language that magnetically attracts financial flow instead of repelling it. Type in the comments, "I declare I am wealthy," if you're ready to start shaping your reality with your voice. This truth marks one of the deepest discoveries about how existence truly functions. Reality doesn't dictate your word. Your word commands reality. Most people think they must wait for circumstances to improve before they dare to speak differently, but that mindset locks them inside the cage of limitation. Words don't describe what is, they design what will be. You're not destined for wealth because a document confirms it or years of effort proved it, but because that abundance already lives within your divine nature and becomes visible when you speak it into being. This awareness changes everything. The journey stops being about striving to reach something and becomes about allowing what already exists to express itself through you. When you boldly open your mouth and affirm your divine prosperity, you're not pretending or faking confidence. You're demonstrating that your words possess sacred authority. Speaking from identity instead of circumstance activates spiritual forces that most people never touch. Now let me expose the silent saboteur that has been whispering against your progress for years. It's a small phrase that millions use daily without realizing its impact. They utter it at dinner tables, while shopping, when opportunities arise, when bills appear, and it has caused more personal poverty than any stock market collapse or economic downturn in history. The phrase is, "I can't afford that." Those 5 words act like invisible handcuffs. You may think you're describing a momentary fact, but in truth, you're announcing a belief. And belief declared through speech becomes law. Each repetition isn't an observation about your finances, it's a decree about who you are and what you're capable of. You're broadcasting to creation itself, "I am a being of lack. I am restricted. I am small." And the universe, ever obedient to its spoken command, continues to return that reality to you. Trace the life of anyone struggling with money, and you'll hear this phrase echoing endlessly in the background, repeated so often it becomes subconscious programming. Yet the moment you recognize this pattern, you gain the ability to reverse it entirely. The very power that once reinforced scarcity can now construct abundance. You stop being a victim of conditions and become the author of experience through the vocabulary you choose. Let's look at what successful minds say instead. Comment, "I release that phrase forever." If you're ready to exchange it for a statement that aligns with plenty, instead of, "I can't afford it," you consciously choose, "I am divinely supplied. If this belongs to me by right, it comes easily. If not, something greater appears." This isn't blind optimism. It's the speech of one who knows that every transaction and opportunity operates under spiritual rather than material law. When you speak this way, you're not denying your current situation. You're affirming that your source is infinite, and that perfect timing will bring what is yours. This adjustment doesn't just sound better. It rewires the deep structure of your mind. Each repetition reshapes your energy, turning resistance into receptivity. But to see true transformation, you must become fiercely disciplined with your words. This is not casual positivity, it's spiritual precision. Every sentence builds your fortune or dismantles it. Never again can, "I can't afford it," cross your lips, because now you know that those words sever your connection to divine supply. Each declaration of lack invites more experiences of lack. Guard your speech as you'd guard your most precious treasure, for your tongue holds the authority to either summon or scatter blessings. To live by this law means speaking prosperity when others complain, gratitude when others grumble, sufficiency when others claim shortage. This linguistic faith builds an atmosphere that draws opportunity toward you. People begin to sense something different about your presence. Doors open where walls once stood. You move from striving to receiving, from fear to expectation, from hope to certainty. Those who master wealth first master their mouth. They understand that spoken intention precedes visible manifestation, and they refuse to utter anything inconsistent with abundance. Now imagine a person embracing this principle completely. Comment: I am supported by divine supply. If you're ready to live this truth. What I'm about to say might challenge your training. Poverty has no power of its own. The limitation you feel is not a divine test or a sacred burden. It's a hypnotic illusion kept alive by fear and confirmed by repetition. Even if your table is covered in unpaid bills, understand that struggle is not holy. Scarcity is not a spiritual rite of passage. It is merely a mirage created by belief and sustained by speech. When you see through it, the illusion dissolves. The same divine energy that lifted countless others from lack already lives inside your words. You're not waiting for an outside savior or economic rescue. The key to your transformation is as near as your next sentence. Every financial turnaround in history has begun with what I call a sacred pivot. That instant when someone stops begging and begins declaring. They may still feel nervous, yet they stand firm and proclaim, God is my unfailing source. Great sums of money flow to me freely, gracefully, and perfectly. They speak not as wishful thinkers, but as lawgivers issuing divine instruction. Something unseen stirs when this level of authority is voiced. Channels open, unseen helpers move, divine coordination unfolds. It's not manipulation, it's alignment with truth. If this revelation is resonating, show it by acknowledging that you've heard exactly what your spirit needed. From that moment onward, everything changes. You stop behaving like someone trying to earn favor and start living as one who knows their supply is guaranteed. Let's go deeper into how this mechanism works. Comment: this is my sacred pivot. If you're ready to proclaim this shift, lack has nothing to do with numbers and everything to do with agreement. When you look at an empty account and inwardly nod, when you see someone succeed and think, that's not for me, you have entered into contract with limitation. Agreement authorizes its continuance. The instant you revoke that agreement through your speech and claim unity with infinite provision, that contract dissolves immediately. You begin to view obstacles as temporary illusions rather than permanent facts. Behind every story of deliverance from financial hardship lies one moment of refusal, a decision to stop agreeing with poverty and start declaring abundance. Every miracle starts as a spoken word. If you face shortage today, don't wait for evidence to change. Speak anyway. Even when the shelves are bare, even when due dates loom, open your mouth, not in denial of fact but in defiance of its permanence. Every fortune begins as a sentence. Every harvest begins as sound. Words create the climate in which solutions can appear. When you declare prosperity in the face of fear, you activate the same creative force that spoke galaxies into order. Every major turnaround begins with a voice that refuses silence. They understand their word outranks their circumstance. Their declarations rewrite reality. Now it's time to sustain that power. Comment: I cancel all ties with scarcity. If you're ready to dissolve every hidden contract of limitation, wealth is not something distant you chase. It's a vibration already living within you. Abundance isn't earned, it's expressed. Until you release it from within, you'll keep chasing a mirage that moves as you move. True prosperity begins when you stop trying to get rich and start learning to be rich. Those who live in continual flow realize wealth is a tone, a frequency of being. Millionaire consciousness isn't about the number in your bank. It's the energy you radiate no matter the balance. That frequency sounds like this, without proof, without hesitation. I am wealthy because I am one with the source of all supply. When that becomes your natural vibration, money becomes a byproduct of alignment, not struggle. Each thought, each word, each belief is a note tuning you closer to abundance or scarcity. Most people live by, I'll believe it when I see it. But those who manifest say, I'll see it because I already believe. That reversal changes everything. You don't need evidence before you speak like one who's blessed. You don't wait for your account to agree before you walk as abundance embodied. When you choose to hold that inner tone regardless of outside noise, life begins moving toward you instead of away. Comment: I vibrate with abundance. If you're ready to tune your soul to this rhythm. The daily rhythm that keeps this vibration alive revolves around one sacred act: speaking. Words are not spells or superstitions, they're tuning forks for the soul. Strike them morning and night until your entire environment hums with their frequency. When you rise each morning, before touching your phone or scrolling through fear, take a breath and set your tone. Say aloud, I move in harmony with divine wealth. Money flows to me freely, frequently, and favorably. Every path I take prospers. This isn't wishful talk. It's spiritual calibration. As you maintain it, your subconscious begins to adjust, aligning decisions and opportunities with that belief. You start seeing openings you once overlooked. You're not forcing outcomes, you're resonating with them. Remember, this practice is not about convincing the universe. It's about keeping your heart in tune so that what belongs to you can locate you. Begin your day with authority instead of anxiety. Proclaim your prosperity before proof and speak your reality into being. Every act of creation follows the same sequence: word first, form second. The world you inhabit now is only the echo of what has been spoken repeatedly by you, your family, society. But a new echo begins today. When you commit to declaring abundance with unwavering consistency, you start sculpting a new world around you. You're not at the mercy of circumstances. You are the composer of them. You're constantly shaping your world through the language you speak every single day. Today, I want to take you deeper into the unseen mechanism behind how your spoken words actually interact with the invisible systems that produce physical outcomes. Comment below, I form new ripples, if you're ready to begin constructing a completely different reality through the force of intentional daily declarations. The deeper reality behind this transformation uncovers something astonishing about what your speech truly does. When you affirm prosperity, those words don't simply vanish into thin air. They are living directives, spiritual blueprints, and active messengers sent into the unseen dimension with the assignment of creating visible results in your experience. This principle comes directly from divine law. My word shall not return void, says the Lord. If divine speech carries that level of power, and you are crafted in the image of the divine, then your words hold that same authority when they harmonize with spiritual truth. Your financial world is literally responding to your voice. Even your bank balance, which looks like mere numbers on a screen, possesses ears in the unseen. It reacts not to desire or anxiety, but to words released with authority and conviction. Behind the scenes, a powerful process activates each time you declare abundance. Imagine yourself stepping through an empty stretch of land, nothing visible to the natural eye, only dry soil reaching to the horizon. Yet every time you proclaim wealth by saying, I am abundant, God is my endless source, money flows to me in great measure, you are planting golden seeds into that invisible ground beneath your feet. At first, nothing seems to change. The field looks barren, your bank account appears static, and circumstances seem untouched. But the hidden truth that separates those who prosper from those who quit is this: the law is operating beneath the surface. Those invisible golden seeds are rooting deeply, drawing nourishment from divine substance, quietly growing until they push into visible reality. The passage from seed to harvest demands one essential discipline. You must never dig up what you've sown through disbelief. Each time you talk about lack after declaring increase, each time you complain about shortage after commanding provision, each time you express fear after affirming faith, you're uprooting your golden seeds before they can bloom. But when you remain steadfast, continually planting golden words of faith without contradicting them, the field that looked desolate will eventually overflow. What once seemed unreachable will unfold naturally. What appeared delayed will emerge right on time. Understanding this shifts everything about how you relate to manifestation. Instead of chasing immediate visible evidence, you start trusting the underground operation of divine law. Instead of doubting when no change is seen, you keep planting verbal seeds of wealth. Now, I want to reveal how to fully amplify the energy of this planting process by understanding the exact spiritual laws that govern divine timing. Comment below I plant golden words daily if you're ready to commit to this sacred rhythm of consistent, faith-filled declarations that transform your financial landscape. To harness this fully, you must change your understanding of the tongue's role in your prosperity. Your tongue isn't decorative. It's not just for conversation or chatter. It's a sacred instrument, a rod of power, a tool of divine vibration and decree. Once this truth sinks in, the way you speak will never be the same. You must stop talking like a beggar, hoping for scraps, or a skeptic wondering whether abundance could ever be yours. You must begin speaking like one who knows their authority, who rules circumstances through command, who governs limitation through speech. Your daily declarations become, "My word creates, my word produces, my word commands increase." This mindset revolutionizes everything because it transforms you from one who talks idly to one who legislates reality. Every person who has built extraordinary wealth experienced a defining revelation. Their tongue was never meant merely for communication, but for creation. Their voice was not just for expression but for manifestation. This recognition exposes what's truly happening during your seasons of delay. You're not behind, forgotten, or disqualified. What you've called delay is often misalignment between what you want and what you're saying. What feels like waiting is really just a pause in your verbal authority. The reality is your abundance has been waiting on your instruction far longer than you've been waiting on it. In the unseen, divine resources, opportunities, and orchestrations hover near your life, anticipating your signal. That signal isn't time, work, or worthiness. It's your spoken decree. The bridge between your current reality and your desired wealth is simply the distance between silence and sound, between the potential you've not spoken and the truth you've boldly declared. When you recognize that your vocal power unlocks divine supply, you stop tracking time and start measuring tone. You stop counting days and start counting affirmations. You stop expecting the world to change first and start generating alignment from within through your voice. Transformation begins not when life improves, but when you choose to speak as if it already has, firmly, joyfully, and without hesitation. Now, I'll unveil the timing codes that determine how your declarations enter the physical world so you can sync your expectation with divine rhythm. Comment below, "My voice is my wand." If you're ready to wield your speech as the divine instrument of creation it was designed to be. The timing mechanics of manifestation uncover a truth that completely reshapes how you view financial increase. Scripture says, "Before they call, I will answer." That means supply responds to sound, not to calendars. Abundance isn't locked in the future. It's voice-activated, tone-sensitive, and drawn to certainty. This truth alters everything about how you think abundance arrives. Many assume wealth demands time, that prosperity unfolds through long labor. But divine provision operates by a different rule. One governed by the quality of your words, not the length of your effort. Here's where most people block their own blessings. They proclaim abundance in prayer yet speak lack all day long. They give mixed instructions to the divine system delivering their good. It's like ordering from a restaurant and canceling before the meal arrives. Manifestation requires vocal consistency, an unwavering signal heaven can follow. Behind every delayed miracle is usually interference from conflicting speech. Let me illustrate this with a picture that will permanently shift your perception. Imagine a massive train, fully loaded with every answered prayer, every divine opportunity, every deposit of abundance your heart has ever desired. But this train isn't somewhere far away moving toward you. It's already circling your world right now. Each carriage bears your name. It waits at the platform of your soul for one cue, the authorization of your word today. Not next week when conditions improve. Not next month when fear fades. Not next year when you feel ready. Now, this revelation means you're not waiting for heaven to send your supply. Your supply is waiting for your command to land. The train of abundance stands ready, engines humming, doors open, but it needs your voice to say, "Arrive." The moment you stop searching the distance and start speaking to what already exists but remains unseen, manifestation begins. Now, I'll show you how to end those mixed vibrations and establish the single frequency that draws this wealth train into view. Comment, "My wealth train is here," if you're ready to summon what's been waiting all along. Creating that pure signal demands a change in posture when you speak about money. Miracles react to mastery, not pleading. When you say, "Please, God, give me money," you unknowingly separate yourself from abundance, placing yourself beneath it. But when you affirm, "I am wealth. I am the flow. I am the vessel through which divine prosperity moves," you sit upon the throne of consciousness, where decree is the language of creation. This move from begging to declaring alters your entire vibration. Everyone who's ever achieved supernatural success encountered that moment. They stopped asking and started claiming unity with supply. The universe answers authority, not desperation. Speech has rank. When you speak from need, you speak from below. When you speak from certainty, you speak from the throne. The spiritual route to wealth isn't about becoming more deserving. It's about remembering your divine position and speaking from it. Many stay stuck because they talk from the ground of lack instead of the seat of dominion. They keep striving to prove worthiness instead of issuing decrees from identity. Transformation happens when you decide to rule your reality with words, no matter what your outer world displays. When you speak as royalty, the universe bows to the vibration of your voice. Now I'll show you how to sustain this throne consciousness, even when life tempts you to revert to pleading. Comment below, "I speak as royalty," if you're ready to rule with your words, instead of request with your fear. Maintaining this royal language becomes essential when confronting one of the biggest illusions that binds people to struggle: debt. Debt isn't just an amount written on a statement. It's a false identity, a spell repeated until it feels true. But it's an illusion. Debt is not who you are. It's a shadow born from fearful speech. Shadows have no reality except the power you grant them through agreement. The moment you recognize debt as a counterfeit name, everything begins to shift. You were never actually in debt. You've always been resourced by the eternal treasury of God. In the spirit realm, your account overflows. Your credit is perfect. Your worth is untouched. What appears as lack in the physical is only a temporary disconnect from your divine source. The exit from financial bondage begins when you stop accepting names heaven never assigned. Each time you say, "I'm in debt," you reinforce that false identity. But when you boldly declare, "I am divinely resourced," you tear the veil between visible and invisible, stepping into a realm where everything is prepaid. This isn't denial. It's higher recognition of your spiritual economy. This new language doesn't just change thoughts. It rewires energy. You move from the vibration of scarcity to the frequency of overflow. Your choices align with expectation rather than fear. Paths and opportunities that were hidden begin to appear, because you're now speaking from faith, not from deficiency. It doesn't mean abandoning responsibility. It means understanding your speech determines your state. As you redefine yourself internally, your world reshapes to match it. Comment, "I am divinely supplied," if you're ready to abandon the false label of debt and embody your true wealth nature. Let me share an example of what happens when someone embraces this truth completely. An artist once lived trapped by the idea that creativity and poverty were inseparable. He believed financial success would taint his purity. That belief caged his prosperity. Then he made a choice to renounce that lie. Every day he declared, "My art is valued. My work is richly compensated. I walk in divine contracts and increasing income." For 33 days straight, he refused to contradict that identity. When friends complained, he stayed silent. When bills arrived, he spoke provision. When fear whispered, he replied with faith. On the 33rd day, a collector who had seen his work months earlier contacted him unexpectedly, purchasing several pieces for $15,000 and funding an entire private showcase. The artist later said it wasn't luck, it was the moment he began speaking as someone worthy of being paid. This testimony reveals the fourfold divine structure that governs all manifestation. Declare, rest, obey, receive. You declare from your soul's throne, not as one begging, but as one summoning what already exists. You rest in certainty, not watching your bank app for proof, but walking in knowing. You obey divine nudges without needing to see the whole map. And finally, you receive, fully, freely, confidently, without questioning your worth. Every miracle follows this law. The distinction between those who succeed and those who don't isn't luck. It's faithful consistency in this rhythm. The single greatest revelation connecting all of this is simple. Your breakthrough begins when you accept that your voice outranks your circumstances. When you finally see that your words are divine decrees, your speech turns from conversation into creation. If you've stayed with me this far, it's because your spirit recognizes truth. You understand that prosperity isn't only strategy, it's alignment with divine speech. If this message has stirred something within you, subscribe and continue this journey. There's far more to uncover about the sacred laws of wealth and the creative power within your words. If this message resonated deeply, comment, "This message found me," because if you've reached this point, it truly did. I love connecting with those committed to practicing these principles, not just hearing them. Our time together has woven a spiritual connection through truth, faith, and power. If this has blessed you, hit that like. It shows that you value what we've explored. There's another video waiting that dives deeper into sustaining this divine prosperity mindset. Continue the journey, because what we've begun today is only the first step in mastering the miraculous power of your spoken word.